Cam, and we're here in Cammy's garage. Thanks everybody for coming. I was waiting for almost the last second before starting the stream, and I have my lovely and talented assistant, Lori the Maker, is going to monitor the chat for me while I do some stuff here. I want to thank everybody for coming, and thanks to all of the makers that came before me. Unfortunately, I could not attend or watch the people making this morning because I kind of double booked myself. I forgot that I had another event today. I do sim racing on iRacing, and yeah, today I'm participating in the Daytona 24 hours, like a real 24-hour race. Well, not real cars, virtual cars, but I was doing that this morning. I did several hours in the car, and so here I am taking a break from that to do this, and then I'm going to go back to do that. So I really appreciate everybody coming and all the fine makers that came this morning. I kind of skimmed through everyone's video earlier, but I was just giving everybody a moment to join in here. Thanks to Wayne, the wood turner. He's a tough act to follow. I know that guy is a very experienced wood turner, and yeah, it's probably has forgotten more about wood turning than I will ever know. So thanks to Wayne, and thanks to Carl and JP and Dale for putting this tense virtually crafty festival together. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Okay. Just want, I haven't seen anybody complaining that they can't hear me. So yeah, I have earbuds that will hopefully you can hear me better. So for those of you that are new here or don't know me, my name is Cameron Porter. I am a full-time studio artist and I make videos for YouTube and Instagram. My latest video is actually this little box, toy rocket box that I made. So you can check that out on my channel. It's my latest video. It has 3 stages, just like a real rocket. This will be a gift for somebody, I think. You know, and I've also been, you know, I make art pieces essentially out of wood. That's what I do here in Cammy's garage. This is a piece that I made a couple of years ago and sold to someone who gave it to someone else as a gift. A couple of weeks ago, they said, "Hey, this fell and broke. Can you fix it?" And I said, "Yeah, of course I can. I hope." So I repaired it. It was in about 10 pieces. And you can see it's not, certainly not perfect, but it's better than broken. And, you know, the thing about making stuff out of wood, something that's this delicate will be fragile no matter how it's made. And people criticize me for gluing end grain together, but this is supposed to be a static display object. It doesn't need to have strength. Hopefully it won't eventually fall apart. That's one concern that I should have known about. I'm relatively new to woodworking, to be honest. I was an animator for 20 years. I worked in Los Angeles when my wife was doing her PhD program out there at University of California, and lots of other projects. I've literally done tens of thousands of drawings because I was an animator for so many years. But the patron is going to pick this up next week, and this I'll eventually send to someone special. So, what am I going to make today? Oh, there's a question.
No, there's no question. You also have like a 10 to 15 second delay, but do you want to talk more about the rocket and how you made it? Because you just very quickly showed it without showing the insides or whatnot.
Okay. Lori would like me to elaborate on the rocket. Well, you can view this on my channel, how I made this. I'm an entertainment channel. I am not a how-to channel. I like to show people what I make and hopefully inspire them to try something new. And you know, the lathe is an extremely versatile tool, just up to your imagination to figure out what you can make with it. And if you're a longtime follower of my channel, you know I like to turn things and then cut them up into smaller pieces and then glue them back together into something else. So this is made out of oak and walnut. And I basically had 3 slabs or a slab of oak, and these were laminated with a piece of walnut, 3 pieces of walnut between them. And then I turned this whole thing on the lathe at once and kind of popped this off, made the this little part on the inside here, and then ensured it fit in here. I mean, it's not super snug or anything. And then did the same thing with this piece. The inside is certainly not perfect. I mean, you can see some tool marks in there. But this was just going to be a simple gift for someone anyway. So Lori is monitoring the live chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in there, and I can elaborate on anything you'd like to know about. Was there any questions, Lori?
No, and I had just typed that in, but before you said that.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm dressed for the cold because it is 10 degrees in here Celsius. That's about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. We had snow last night here in Columbia, South Carolina, which is an extremely rare occurrence. So that was kind of magical. Nice big fluffy snowflakes coming down. So we're pretty chilled out here right now. So I might cut it a little bit short today, but I'm gonna make something. No, I'm not just gonna keep talking. And I have an idea of what I want to make. I'm going to take this piece of oak and I'm going to make a simple spatula out of it. I'm going to turn the handle on the lathe, and then I'm just going to use a bandsaw to cut a flat portion. So one thing that you can't do, you should do, is draw on your wood. Now, like I said, I was an animator, so I do a lot of drawing. Now, I recommend using a pencil on a piece of wood, but just for this demo, I'm going to use a marker or a Sharpie because you will be able to see it better. Because marker can stain the wood, and it doesn't really matter if you're going to turn it away or cut it away. So I don't really care. This is just going to be a demo anyway. So I want to make it pretty simple. So this end will be the flat part, the flipper part, and this end will be the handle. And there's some checks in the end of this wood, so I'm probably going to just cut this a little bit shorter, make it a short, stubby one. So we see something simple, make the handle kind of like this. So if you're looking down over the top of it, maybe something like that. If you're looking at it from the side, it's going to be something like, this will be the handle up here, and then this portion will be, maybe we can even make it slightly curved like that. So that'll be the profile, and that'll be what the top looks like. And something like this, if you have a lathe, you can make these pretty easily and quickly. You don't even need a bandsaw to do something like this, although the power tools are a labor-saving device. I know there's lots of channels out there you can see where people only use hand tools, and that's wonderful. I have no qualms about using power tools, although my shop is very limited in its power tools. Maybe I can give you a quick shop tour here. And when I say quick, I mean really quick, because I've got I have a miter saw, a compound miter saw. I got some wood sitting around everywhere. A lot of these are just scraps I got from local friends, things like that. I made this workbench. This is one of the first things I made in the shop. And in fact, it wasn't a shop, it was just a garage. Yeah, so this is a 2-car garage that's attached to our house. This goes into the house, that door there. This goes to the backyard, and there are 2 garage doors here. And we usually leave this side open. That's why I have lots of room in here, because just in case we have bad weather, we can put the car inside. We're lucky enough to own his and her motorcycles, although we haven't really done a lot of riding yet. And of course, there's my main tool, which is this Powermatic 3520B lathe. And I'm embarrassed to say that I haven't turned this on in about 2 months, just because I've been, I took the holidays off essentially, and and I've been working on some videos for my friends over at Sabretooth, So I have this lathe that was bandsaw that was donated to me by a fellow woodturner. Actually, he got a new bandsaw from someone, and he gave me his old one, which was very wonderful of him. My friend Bob, who I helped put an outdoor art installation up a couple weeks ago, gave me a couple of CBN wheels for the grinder. So I'm gonna get rid of these, not get rid of them, but remove these um, aluminum oxide wheels and put the CBN wheels on very soon. Hopefully that will help me get a nice sharp clean edge on my lathe tool. So how often do I sharpen my lathe tools? Every time I go to use them, or at least that's what you should do. I don't necessarily do that. Like I use carbon combination of carbide tools and traditional tools. I don't have a lot of tools. I'm not one of those kind of guys that collects or hoards tools. I bought this grinder used from a local wood turner that I met through the local wood turning club, and I went to his house to get it and a couple of traditional tools, and he could barely move in his shop. He had to walk like this through his shop because he had so much stuff in there. Tools, so many tools, hand tools, power tools. Couldn't use his garage as a shop because it's so hoarded with stuff. So don't be that guy. So I don't normally like to wear sleeves, just for safety reasons. I don't wear rings or anything like that when I use the lathe. But I have these cycling tights. These are for, I'm an avid cyclist, although I'm embarrassed I haven't ridden in a long time. But yeah, these are tight fitting to my arms, so I feel like they're safer to wear, and they're fleece lined, so it helps me on days like this when it's pretty cold in the garage. Okay, so I wasted 15 minutes already. That's good. Just blabbing away. So I'm going to start with this spur center here. Just put my safety first. I have my mask. Although my Darth Maul mask, the rubber horns that were on it kind of collapsed and fell apart. They were too old, so I had to pull them off. Although this is getting pretty well used. Also, it's got CA glue like all over the front of it and stuff. Lori, did you have a question? A question. Lori has a question.
Before you go to make your spatula, you want to talk them through the very basics of how you're going to make said spatula of the lathe and other tools?
That's a great idea to explain how I'm going to do this. Well, first of all, I'm going to cut the excess off on the bandsaw, just this portion and this portion. That's the first step. The second step is to turn the handle and probably this portion right here, and leave this part alone and cut this part last with the bandsaw. So that should be pretty straightforward, I think. Actually, let's head over to the bandsaw. Yeah, so I have my power cable for my lathe kind of blocking things. Now, ordinarily, I'd also wear a dust mask, but just because I'm doing this demo today, I am not. I'm going to not wear it. So I won't be doing any sanding either, just so I don't generate a lot of dust. You know, I would like to do a demo of carving, but it is so messy that I don't think it's a practical thing to do um, for an event like this. I don't know. Maybe I'll do it someday. If there's a high demand, tell me what you think in the comments. Tell me if you want to see me do some carving. Oh yeah, so I ended up cutting my design off the side, of course, but I can visualize it. I hope you can visualize it too. Not head over to the lathe again. So apparently Jimmy DiResta's on after me. How about that? How about that Jimmy DiResta, huh? He's I was going to say tough act to follow, but he's on after me. So eat that, Jimmy. I'm a tough act to follow. Okay, so because I want the handle portion to be up here, I'm going to put the center right about here. And so it'll be off-center turning, but hopefully it'll stay in one place. So I'm just going to start with some carbide tools. I mean, I feel like carbide tools are good for roughing. Plus, I don't have a spindle roughing gouge, so just for ease, I will use carbide tools like this. Oh, I'm sorry, like this square cutter here. It's a little close. That's spinning at about 600 right now. Make sure this is tight. So this wood obviously had some checks in it, so it's coming apart. That was probably a bad idea for me to use that piece of wood. Checks are cracks that run through the wood that you may or may not see, and it can cause issues like this. If you're not too careful, that could, a large piece could come off and hurt you.
Is it the sound? Is it how it was feeling? How did you know there was checks before you stopped it?
You could see them in the. How could I know that there were checks in it? I could see them in the end just by looking at the end of the wood.
So before you started, you knew.
Yes, yes, I knew before I started. I took a chance. But thanks for being inquisitive, Lori, and answering questions people may have. Yeah, so make sure you put any questions or comments in there. Whoop. Well, it caught because I didn't. So what I should have done was knock this spur center in the end with a hammer or something first. So it didn't catch like that. Something to think about if you're turning on a lathe. So I'm just going to get a hammer and knock that in there. Yes, that was a rubber mallet. That was not a hammer, as Lori has astutely pointed out. Thanks, sweetheart. I keep you around for your brains. My wife is a scientist, so she has to be precise and describe things exactly how they're there. So basically, I'm just taking the corners off and switch to the bowl gouge. I only have 2 and 3 traditional tools. I've been too cheap to buy more. I have a spindle gouge and a bowl gouge and a parting tool. Get that a little closer. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go back to my square. Just getting this closer around. This white oak is very hard wood. Yeah, obviously I need a new cutter on my other tool. This one is much sharper. I'm gonna have an easier time with the bowl gouge now. Why? All right, that's a pretty simple shape. Well, it's not completely round, however. I'll make one more pass. All right, I wasn't talking because it's difficult to hear, I'm sure. Yeah, this is what else can happen if you have checks. The ends up splintering if you get to a certain point with a check in the wood. Okay, that's about where I want it. This part doesn't matter. I'm going to cut that with a bandsaw anyway. So yeah, when you have checks in the wood, it can end up making things like this where it's got some fibers flying out here. Yeah, you could make a mallet this way as well. A simple carving mallet. Yeah, so now I'm going to take this over to the bandsaw here and just cut the shape I want. Yeah, so basically I just want this part to be flat down here. I made this a little short actually, but that's okay. You can still see the general idea. So the thing about me making um, things, people will ask me sometimes, what are the dimensions? Like, give me how big is it? And my reaction is normally, well, it doesn't really matter because it's the ratios and the relationships between different uh, portions of your piece, not necessarily the exact measurements. For example, I have a video where I talk about how I made my sim racing rig, like my cockpit for driving, and people want to know what are the exact measurements, and I'm like, it's so stupidly simple. It's just a U-shaped piece of wood, and that how wide it is really depends on the chair that you're putting it on. So it's up to you to measure the size. I can't tell you what size it's going to be for your specific application, and especially if I'm doing something that's an abstract piece of art, uh, I don't measure anything. I don't make plans. I just make up things as I go along, just like I'm doing now. That's how we do things in Gaming Garage. Yeah. And I encourage you to do that too. Oh yeah, sorry. Good point. So I've raised this up a little bit so I can have a little more clearance. I'm going to make this even on both sides, just a little bigger on one side. So the bottom, oh, I have to put this up a little more. Let's say it'll be like that. All right, so it's gonna be at slight angle like that. And this part we can might be if you're using a rough piece of wood too, it's good to run it through the bandsaw first to make one side flat. Otherwise, if you're trying to cut a piece that's not flat, it'll move around and cause problems. That is dangerous. Yeah. So like I said, I've made this part a little small. Yeah, I could probably cut a little bit more off of here. That's a little better. The boxes. Which boxes? Oh, these over here? Oh, those are care packages from my friends at Unita Abrasives. I'm partnered with Unita Abrasives. They provide sandpaper for the shop here, and you can get your own abrasives from Unita. If you would like to try them, you can get 20% off your order in their online store by using the code CAMMIE20. That's right, CAMMIE 20.
Just for feedback, they can hear you in advance how it's running when you work cutting. Because I asked them if they could hear you in advance how it's running when you're talking.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, it's good that you can hear me. So now that I have this cut on the bandsaw, it's nice that it's cut, but you can see it's pretty rough. Like I didn't spend a lot of time um, making it perfect. Now what I would do is get my sanding disc that I made for the lathe here. Oh, have a knockout spur center. I'm sorry, what?
4:33.
Thank you. We're halfway through. If you made it this far, thanks a lot for watching and sticking around. So like I said, something like this would be pretty quick and easy to make if you wanted to make a bunch of them for friends or family, or just stocking stuffers if it was Christmas or something. Same as other small utensils. I made a whole bunch of utensils for Lori's family. Like, what did I make? Salad tongs and a spatula and a back scratcher, a small spoon, a big spoon. Like, you can make all kinds of little things that don't take very long at all, that are unique handmade gifts that are really special, and the type of thing that you don't get from just a store-bought gift. One of my aunts has been sending me handwritten letters, and when one of those these days, if you get a handwritten letter, that's so amazing, right? If you get one, like, if a letter shows up in my mailbox, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so great, because I only use um, electronic mail for my communication these days, and yeah, to do something that's handmade, even if it's just a letter, I mean, that's special these days, in my opinion. So this gigantic disc sander that I made for my lathe here, using simply a faceplate and some MDF. This 20-inch disc sanding disc is it's sticky back. Unita makes these as well, and this is 40 grit. I use it for shaping, not just sanding. So it's perfect for something like this, because you can turn it sand this flat, and you can make this part thinner. You can make it flat. You can, just quickly round off these edges with the sander, because I don't think I'll do any sanding right now because, I normally wear a dust mask, but since I'm doing this video, I'm not going to wear a dust mask, and plus Lori is in here too, so I'm not going to generate a lot of dust. But let's just pretend this is spinning. It's spinning really fast, and I can just hand sand it like this. But make sure it's pointed away from you. If this is spinning this way, use this side. Don't use this side because it could catch. Throw it right in your face. But yeah, this is very handy. This is one of the first things I did when I got the lathe, is make this gigantic sanding disc, just because it's so useful for sanding. Like, for example, the ring pieces. If you watch a lot of my videos, I make a lot of wooden rings turned on the lathe. And I cut them in half, and to sand those faces, after I cut it with a saw, to sand those faces flat so that they're parallel is really easy to do with this, because I made myself a platform for it as well that is square and flat. This goes on here like this. Don't want it to be touching though. So if I want something to have a 90 degree face on this, I happen to know this is a 90 degree angle, and so if I want to make sure it's 90 degrees, and if I have a ring, in fact, I do have rings over here. This was another demo I did. So if I want to sand these flat, you can just sand it like this, but you have to be careful. You want to be sanding on this side because it's turning. If it's turning like this way, that way you have the support of this table. Because if you sand over here, again, it can flip it up and throw it in your face. So you have to be pretty careful about that kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, I can't take 100% credit for coming up with this idea. I mean, many people made something like this before I did. When I was first doing wood things, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos to, like how-to videos, like, Mike Waltz. I watched a lot of Mike Waltz videos. I know he's participated in the Virtually Crafty Festival before. So, hi, Mike, if you're watching. Thanks for the inspiration and the great tips and how-to videos. As I said, I don't make how-to videos, but I just want to inspire people to try new things and make artsy pieces, maybe, or maybe sometimes make functional pieces. When it comes to making art, though, the thing about sculptures, like the things that I make, they take up real estate, so it's difficult. It's a difficult sell compared to something that hangs on a wall. I've done things that do hang on the wall. Wood, unfortunately, is heavy, so it's kind of more difficult to make big things to hang on a wall. But it's not unheard of. I mean, if someone can hang a car on a wall as an art piece, I've seen that before. Yeah, surely you can hang a smaller wood piece on a wall. So we still have 20 minutes left. Unfortunately, so to finish this, that's a great question. Obviously sand it with the disc sander, so the edges are smooth. Get rid of this torn out grain right here because, I wasn't super careful when I was turning it. I was just doing it quickly. Okay, so this is what happened before. I do things too fast. I'm like, well, what do I do for the last 10 minutes or 15 or 20 minutes? So, yeah, I would maybe use the carving tools to smooth this out, or, certainly make this a little thinner here.
And what kind of carving tools? Do people know what they look like? Things like that?
Right, what kind of carving tools? That's a good question, Lori. Well, I have three different kind of carving tools that I use in the shop here. I have a die grinder, electric die grinder, and I have an angle grinder, and I have a Dremel. And on all of these tools, I use Sabertooth carving burrs because they're a partner. In fact, that's what I was doing the last couple of weeks, is doing some videos for them. They asked me to do some how-to videos. So they make things like this. This is a carving burr. This is their new Whisper line. And also you can get 10% off Sabertooth tools as well by using the code CAM10 in their online store.
So is CAM10 the code for both Nina and Sabertooth?
No, Laura just asked, is the code the same? No, for Unita, it's CAMI20 to get 20% off.
CAM20 for Unita?
Unita is CAMI20, CAMMIE 20. And Sabertooth is CAM10. So at the very least, I had hoped that I could inspire y'all to try something new and interesting and maybe something you haven't done before, especially with the lathe. You know, some people make some wonderful boxes and bowls and plates, but there are way more things that you can do than just making bowls and plates and boxes on the lathe. Yeah, obviously you can make things like this, uh, cut things up. Like how can you plus it? It's great to make you know, there's nothing wrong with making a bowl, but think to yourself, how can you plus it? Like how can you make it just a little bit more interesting? You could cut it up. You could pierce it, like carve it somehow, something that makes it really unique and just raises it up just that little extra notch. Uh, Gosh, I'm at a loss for words now. Lori, help me out here.
So you would then take your carving tools to the spatula. Would you finish it with sandpaper after that? What kind of finish would you put on it? Do you think about how thin the edges for it being functional?
Yes, those are great questions. Thank you. So Lori is like, tell them more about how you finish your spatula, you dummy. No, that's a great idea. So yeah, so I have a Dremel here with small uh, carving burrs. I would use a combination of all these tools to smooth this out just a little bit more. And the thing about utensils is that you don't want, it's great to make something decorative and have, you know, make it look nice. But at the same time, you don't want a whole bunch of little grooves and things that food could get stuck in. And actually, oak is not necessarily a good wood to use as utensils because the pores are really big and it can soak up moisture. And although as long as you oil it, uh, it should be fine. So once I got this down to the basic shape or the near to the final shape, I would sand it, probably hand sand it up to maybe 220 grit. It doesn't have to be super polished if it's just going to be used as a utensil. And I would finish it with something like uh, I have butcher's block conditioner and I have some Odie's oil here. You know, products like this that are natural, food safe type items. This is just this is mineral oil and wax, and I'm not sure what's in Odie's oil, but it's a. They claim it's a multiple use product that is safe for food. Uh, so one problem I had recently was I made a couple of spatulas out of walnut for a friend, and I made this edge too thin, and it cracked. And yeah, something to consider about what you're making. White oak is a really hard wood, which is great. There are pluses and minuses to everything, I guess. And the I think the walnut was a little more fragile, so when I made this edge thin, it kind of cracked and was no longer even. It can also be affected by the direction the grain is running in the wood, or if the grain is not uh, perfectly straight. Like if it's weighty, obviously it could cause it to change shape.
Joe had asked what kind of wood was that for? No, you have left right now.
Well, for apparently Joe asked, what wood do you think would be best for that? And I don't have an easy answer. Uh, or ideally, it would be a hardwood, but harder woods like ash and um, oak, for example, have big pores in it that can absorb whatever it is you're, cooking with. So it may stain it or um, leave flavors behind in your in your utensil. Uh, what do I think would be a good wood? Something hard with tight pores, like maple would be nice. Um, no, holly. Yeah, don't overstuff your utensil drawer. That's a good point. So I made one of these a while ago, and it's been well used in the kitchen. But it was in the drawer one day, like this, and Lori pushed the drawer shut, and it caught on the top and basically cracked and broke one side off of it. So now it's about an inch narrower than I had originally made it, and it's also lopsided, so because one side is off. But when it broke, it looked like a hand, like this. It was kind of funny. I have a lot of walnut and oak and maple in my shop because I like to use local wood. I don't like to use exotic imported woods because I'm concerned about the environment and my environmental footprint, and it takes a lot of energy to ship those woods overseas. So shop local if you can. That's what I try to do. So I encourage you to as well. The wood that I've purchased from a local sawmill is often salvage wood. Like for example, if the city cuts down a lot of trees, they get the trunks and they make slabs out of them, or they're reclaimed pieces of wood. For example, I got several pieces of old pine from that was used to be like a support beam in an old factory that I'd made a few things out of a couple of years ago. So yeah, there are more environmentally friendly ways to get wood. I feel like Tim Sway and I don't know if you watch Tim Sway, but we have a very similar ideal when it comes to generating waste and trying to avoid waste and reclaiming wood and things like that. I used to use a lot of reclaimed wood, but um, reclaimed wood is often has holes and it's like inconsistent sizes and things like that. And it became worth my while to buy locally sourced lumber here in town.
Someone asked about whether or not you made a pizza peel. I said you haven't, but do you want to talk about a pizza peel?
Oh, someone asked if I'd made a pizza peel before. No, but that is a great idea. I have not had a reason to make it. I've made a lot of utensils that I've given to people and sold, and we have a bunch in the drawer that we use ourselves. Uh, yeah, that would be a cool project actually. Maybe for a future video. Thanks for the idea. That's a great idea, Jeff. Yes, thank you, Lori. Thank you, Jeff. Well, maybe I might tie it up here instead of just blabbing your ear off and wasting your time. But I'll give you some time to maybe go take a break and get a snack or a drink or run to the bathroom, whatever you want to do, because you don't want to miss Jimmy DiResta. Jimmy DiResta is coming up next, and he's like the maker. If you don't know who Jimmy DiResta is, I can't even. Anyway, looking forward to checking out Jimmy's stream. And actually, I have to check in on my team to see how they're doing in their 24-hour race. So thanks a lot, everybody. I'm going to tie it up a little bit early since I'm just prattling on, waffling on here for all the English folks or UK folks that are here. But yeah, thanks a lot, everybody. Really appreciate you tuning in. And I hope you'll continue to check out the rest of the great makers that are coming up. And thanks again to the makers that have already been on. And
There's one kind of
Yeah.
question for Jeff, I don't think any live edge projects, natural live edge projects.
I have made live edge things, a lot of live edge things, and I have over 300 videos on my YouTube channel, and you can see some of those if you'd like to check them out. Make sure you subscribe. Yeah, I won't have any videos coming out soon because I'm working on videos for Sabertooth, unless you count those. So, so that's why I haven't had a video in about a month, maybe 6 weeks. Is you know, the holidays and then working on some stuff for my friends over at Sabertooth. Thanks again, everybody. I'm gonna shut it down here. So, bye, everybody. Peace and love.